So let's begin as far as the updates that are now coming in from Washington, D.C. The edition of the pursuit for lasting peace that has now begun on a positive note, we can say, following the dialogue between Donald Trump and Putin in Alaska, the summit that happened on the 15th of August. And now this is a significant shift in tone compared to that tense meeting that happened previously in February. Donald Trump this time not only welcomed Zelenskyy, but also expressed that it was an honor to have Zelenskyy at the White House. Donald Trump stating that there is a reasonable chance of ending war and promised to provide security guarantees as part of lasting peace agreement to resolve the conflict once and for all, where he's claimed that the world is tired of the war and both Putin and Zelenskyy want to see it to come to an end. Now, before stating that he previously ended 6 wars, as he continues to claiming when it comes to brokering ceasefire between India and Pakistan, Trump this time has emphasized that he seeks lasting peace rather than just a ceasefire.
President Zelenskyy, you say in the Post on X today, Russia must end this war, which it itself started. President Trump, you say President Zelenskyy of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to. Which is it?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think we're going to have a meeting. I think if everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat. And I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
And, is this the end of the road for American support for Ukraine? Is today's meeting deal or no deal?
I can never say that. It's never the end of the road. People are being killed, and we want to stop that. So I would not say it's the end of the road. No, I think we have a good chance of doing it. And I know the president, I know myself, and I believe Vladimir Putin wants to see it ended.
Talked about security guarantees. Could that involve U.S. troops? Would you roll that out in the future?
We'll let you know that maybe later today. We're meeting with 7 great leaders of great countries also, and we'll be talking about that. They'll all be involved, but there'll be a lot of help when it comes to security. There's going to be a lot of help. It's going to be good. They are first line of defense because they're there. They're Europe, but we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved.
Well, let's get a word from Rishabh, who's connected with us live. Rishabh, good morning. Lots been happening in Washington. Looks like a positive step as far as when it comes to some progress that seems to have been made with this meeting as far as the relevant European leaders, the stakeholders, and of course, President Zelenskyy also being present.
Well, good morning. Definitely a very, very important meeting that took place in the last few hours in Washington, and that is in a way forward toward a long-lasting peace, as Donald Trump is talking about. See, we need to understand something, that both the sides do agree on one point, that it is enough, and it's been 3.5 years, and the war needs to come to an end because neither Russia nor Ukraine are in a position to sustain this war. The economies on both sides of this conflict have taken a huge hit, and now the external support is also drying up, and hence Ukraine believes that now it's time to have a peace. But peace at what cost is the main point of discussion in Washington right now, while Donald Trump is pushing for a hard ceasefire, which might not go down really well in Ukraine. But Donald Trump says that that's the only way out from here, which means that world recognizes Crimea as part of Russia, Donbass areas that speak Russian goes to Russia, and 18% of the land that Russia has captured since 2022, a major part of that remains with Russia. That is something that Putin has put forward, but whether Ukraine will agree to it or not. But one exact word that was used during the press conference, the joint press conference of Trump and Zelenskyy, was security guarantee. Remember when the last time both the leaders met in the same room, which was a very unpleasant meeting, security guarantee was something that Zelenskyy was asking, and Donald Trump kept beating around the bush without using the word or saying that we are ready to give you a security guarantee, but yesterday's security guarantee was used at least 2 to 3 times in the press
Multiple
conference.
leaders there who were present for this meeting, they have been calling this meeting as a historic and a way forward as far as when it comes to the security guarantees, as Rishabh was pointing out, to be given to Ukraine. And in all fairness, fairness is something that they have been demanding that will put this war to an end for good. Please do stay on now with us, Rishabh, because we are going to put out the statements that have now been made by President Trump. This is coming across as a dramatic diplomatic push, where President of the United States says that he hosted the Ukrainian President Zelenskyy, the French President Macron, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, German Chancellor Merz, and other top EU leaders at the White House, where the NATO chief was also present, and so was the EU Commission President, also joined in the talks. Now, Donald Trump says that these discussions seem to be centered across security guarantees for Ukraine to be coordinated between Europe and the US. Now, as far as when it comes to this meeting was taking place, it is being reported that right in the middle, Donald Trump chose to have a lengthy conversation with the president of Russia, as the live briefing that was also being given to him. Remember the meeting that ended in Alaska, but with no outcome as far as when it comes to ending the war. But let's put out exactly when it comes to one of the multiple statements that have been made by President Trump. He goes on to say that I had a very good meeting with distinguished guests like President Zelenskyy of Ukraine, President Emmanuel Macron of France, President Alexander Stubb of Finland, Prime Minister Meloni of Italy, Prime Minister Keir Starmer of United Kingdom, Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany, President of the European Commission, Secretary General of NATO, at the White House, which ended in a further meeting in the Oval Office. Now, during the meeting, we discussed the security guarantees for Ukraine, which guarantees would be provided by various European countries, and this is coming with coordination with the United States of America. Everyone is very happy with the possibility of peace for Russia and Ukraine. He's highlighted there in caps. At the conclusion of the meeting, I called President Putin and began the arrangements for a meeting at the location to be determined between President Zelenskyy and myself. This is for a trilateral that after the two presidents plus myself, again, this was a very good and early step for war that has now been going on for almost 4 years. Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and coordinating with Russia and Ukraine, where he has thanked all of the individuals as far as when it comes to playing a major role and mediating between the two warring nations. Let's go back to Rishabh on this. Rishabh, as far as the mentioning that is being done by Donald Trump, this is now coming at a time where there has been a long phone conversation that also happened in the middle of the meeting while he was holding that meeting with the relevant European stakeholders, but Russian president was also aware of what's happening at the White House.
Well, definitely. See, Donald Trump do understand that this is something where US has, yes, a limited stake, and main ball lies in the court of Russia and Ukraine, and both the sides will have to come on the same page if Donald Trump has to go ahead with the peace plan that he has proposed. But now the main thing is whether the United States or Washington has taken Zelenskyy way too much for granted, that yes, he will agree to all the land swap agreements with Russia, or will it be just like, the way 2014 happened, where Crimea was annexed by Russia and nothing much could have been done by Ukraine. So that is something that is yet to be seen. Yes, that if the trilateral meeting happens, that will be a breakthrough. See, trilateral meeting will not happen the way the last Oval meeting happened. It is not that all the three will come there and then decide what to do. All the three countries will decide what to do, and then only if there is a positive outcome, they all will come on the same table to take
iron out the humiliating for Zelenskyy previously when he was present at the White House. But this time he came armed, of course dressed up as well in a sharp suit, but armed when it comes to the European leaders who were present with him. As far as when it comes to the previous Alaska meeting that happened, remember, at that point in time, President Trump said and put the ball in the court of Ukraine that it is up to Zelenskyy now. But this time, that has been the main theme of this meeting, is not for a call for a ceasefire. Here is the leaders who have come together for security guarantees of Kyiv and also saying that what they're looking out for is lasting peace. Please to stay on with us, Rishabh. Mr. Fabian is also connected. A very good morning to you, Mr. Fabian. When we speak of these meetings that has been taking place in the White House, what do you believe would be the possible outcome? Do you see it as a positive progress?
Is that a question to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's very briefly. In Alaska, Putin had his way. And President Trump agreed with President Putin that what is required is, quote, a peace deal, which includes a ceasefire and not a ceasefire to start with, to be followed by negotiations. And now in Washington, President Trump had his way, and the presence of the Europeans, starting with President of France, Prime Minister of UK, EU President, and others, did not make much of a difference. And we can see that this is how geopolitics works.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Fabian. Appreciate you joining us. As Rishabh continues to be with us, let's play out the reaction that is now coming in from the Ukrainian President, this time Zelenskyy, who was flanked by European leaders and said that he's open to a meeting with Trump and Putin to bring the war to an end, where he seems to have also asserted that Ukraine needs the US and Europe's aid to continue as far as when it comes to this conflict and put an end to it once and for all.
We live under each day attacks, that there have been a lot of attacks and a lot of wounded people, and the child was dead. So we need to stop this war, to stop Russia, and we need support, American and European partners. And I think we show that we are strong people, and we supported the idea of the United States, of personally President Trump, to stop this war, to make diplomatic way of finishing this war, and we are ready for trilateral, as President said.
Now, as far as previously when Zelenskyy was present in the White House, things went south for him. Not only as far as when it comes to the verbal bashing that he received from the president, but also when it comes to the questions over his overall the attire that he was wearing was made by the reporters there. But this time things changed, because Zelenskyy, who was reportedly criticized previously for not wearing a suit, however, this time he decided to wear a dark suit and was sharply dressed. And even Donald Trump complimented him, saying that he looked fabulous. And when a reporter noted that Zelenskyy looked great in a suit, Zelenskyy humorously responded, pointing out to the reporter that, the reporter was wearing the same suit again, which elicited laughter from everyone in the room. These are some lighter moments that was witnessed just before the meeting.
President Zelenskyy, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good.
I said the one that attacked you last time. See, I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelenskyy.
In the same suit. I changed.
Well, I said the same thing. That seems President Trump is complimenting President Zelenskyy on his attire. All right, we're going to head into a very short break. You're watching Times Now. More lined up on the other side.